Alright, so I was going to do this as a live stream, but I live out in the East Mountains of Albuquerque, and the internet here is horrible, and the video quality came out just not even tolerable, really. So I'm going to do this recorded, and then if you have any questions, just post them in the comments, and I'll answer your questions that way. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go over today, I'm just going to go over the draw odds. How do you draw, and what are you looking at when you're drawing? So first thing is, when you're drawing, the draw deadline this year is March 20th at 5 p.m. or 1700 hours. That's for 2019. Draw usually comes out in the April time frame. They usually comes out about a week earlier than they say it's going to. So the hunt codes, if you look at the hunts, and your first thing you want to do is have a proclamation, so you can look at the hunt codes. It's also online. But let's say if we're looking at pronghorn here, and let me go ahead and pull one up real quick, and I'll show you. Minimize that. So kind of go over what the hunt codes look like. Oh, wrong one. So this is the online version of the proclamation that I'm pulling up right here. Kind of scroll through some of the pages. Let's just get down to one of the units here. So we'll look at deer. So the way you read this is unit 36, deer. So the 3 right here means that that's a muzzleloader hunt. The 1 means that it's a deer rifle hunt, and the 2 right here means that this is a archery hunt. Also says right over here on the side, muzzleloader, any legal, or bow. But a lot of times when you're just sorting through the spreadsheet, you don't have this over here on the side, and so it's good to know that when you're looking at, and then when you're putting in, you want to make sure you're putting in for the right hunt. And then you're going to have your dates right here. You're going to have a feed type here, which is standard, and then you'll have the number of tags that they're going to be handing out here, and then like this is a forked antler deer, that kind of thing. This is either sex, whitetail deer, so this is up in a unit where they're trying to control the whitetail deer population. This year they're going to where it used to be you had to have a physical tag on the animal. This year they're going to where you can have an electronic tag for deer and elk. Must have a smartphone with a battery in it, otherwise you're gonna, I'm getting a paper one, I'm not trusting my phone that much. What else we got here? You got some fourth choice, so we're looking at elk stuff now. So for an antlerless, basically it's a cow or a young bull, or a calf. $69 for resident, $347 for non-resident, mature bull. So this is all going to be in a proclamation. You can find it. When you look at the different hunts, there's going to be, I'm trying to find a quality hunt. Here's the unit picture of all the units. You got quality hunts, then you got standard hunts, and then you have high demand hunts. And some of those cost more, but they're also just kind of giving you a heads up that here's a high demand hunt. This is bow in unit 6A, which is up by actually this is close to Santa Fe and Los Alamos. So anyway, just to give you an idea, that's kind of what we're looking at when we're looking at the hunt codes. The draw odds, you're going to be looking at the quality of the hunt, does harvest success, the trophy quality, how much land is in the unit, the species that you're going to look at, and the terrain that's in the unit. And all these things are going to vary. There is a link on the website that is going to help describe that to you. And then there's success odds, which is your harvest rate, and they have a whole spreadsheet, and I'll go over that with you guys here in a second. So first things first, close out that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the website for Game and Fish, and so this is the website for Game and Fish. Whenever you're going here and if you've never used it before, you're going to go to your customer login. Um, here's my wife's login. I'm not going to log in there so you guys see all the hunts that she put in for. But this is the first thing you're going to go to. Most of the stuff that you're going to be interested in is under this hunting tab right here. So the first thing that we're going to look at is big game and draw hunts. Then you go over here and you see draw info, odds, and success tips. So you look at it, what they're going to do right here is they're going to explain to you how the draw works, all this kind of stuff. Then they're going to have odds and reports, which we'll get to this in a minute. And then they're going to have success tips. It's important that you understand this if you're going to try and draw. Kind of get tired of all the people that complain about not drawing, but they don't do their homework and just go put in for random hunts and then end up not drawing and then crying about it. So anyway, we're going to start off here, and this is a complete drawing odds report. And it's going to download. I'm going to open it in Excel. So to give you an idea, this is kind of what it's going to look like. So you can see it's got all this up here. It's going to tell you, it starts off with, I believe, Barbary sheep. Oh no. So one thing, it starts off with pronghorn or antelope. This year they changed the whole way. For the draw, it used to be that you would draw and get assigned to a ranch. This year for pronghorn, it's all over the counter for private land, and then they split it up by units for the draw. So this is going to be useless this year for pronghorn. So I'm not even using it. Next year we'll be able to kind of understand how it's going to play out. But for pronghorn right now, this is totally useless. And so I just go down here and I just went past it. Sorry if I'm snorting. So this is bighorn sheep right here. I thought Barbary was in here. I might have gone over them. Yeah, there's Barbary. So anyway, go back up here, delete pronghorn out, and so now you can kind of see. And I'll just do Barbary sheep for now. And you can do what I'm about to do with all the different species. And I'm just going to clean it up, make it easier. And so we'll just focus on one species. Alright, so in order to sort a spreadsheet, I've got to have all the rows the same size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a row right here, so that when I sort, it's just going to sort these rows that I'm looking at. So going to insert a couple more rows. Basically what I'm going to do here is figure out my percentages. So we're not going to do anything for non-residents, we're not going to do anything for outfitters, so I'll just go ahead and delete this information now. And I'll kind of explain to you what all this stuff is on here. So in New Mexico, 84% of the tags, the public draw tags, half the tags in the state automatically go to landowners. So only about half of the hunts are even open and put into the draw. Of those, 84% go to residents, 6% go to non-residents, and 10% go to outfitters. So that's the way it's supposed to work. So what I like to do is I come over here and then I use a little formula, equal the number of tags divided by the people that applied, and I get a percentage. So then I go up here, hit formula, change it to a percentage, and auto widen the thing. There we go. Boom. So we now know, and this bottom one doesn't matter because, and Barbary sheep, by the way, is also going to be different this year because they changed the way that that's being done. It used to be this 675 tags in one block during February. Now they're dividing it up into 5 different hunts, I think. 1 archery hunt and 4 rifle hunts. And they start in October, I believe. Let's see what Barbary is looking like this year. I don't put these alphabetically. yeah, you could kind of see how they changed it up. They added a bunch of hunts and everything to it. So it looks like we've got, like in units 29 and 30, we've got a total of 5 hunts. So they really, I think it's going to be better. There'll be less. I went on that hunt this year and it was kind of crazy. There's very little public land, and so you've got a ton of people in one little area. You know, they got 675 tags. It's ridiculous. So it's going to be good. It's January. Um, they'll have a January bow hunt, which I'm guessing that that's probably when the animals are in the rut, and then the any legal season, which is rifles, muzzleloaders, crossbows, all that. So anyway, you can kind of see this is your odds of drawing one of these hunts if you put in as your first choice. So if you look at, then you go and you look in the proclamation, it'll tell you what it is. This one right here, for instance, is a military only hunt. 68 people put in for 15 tags. That tells you how many people. This is their first choice. So when you're looking and you're doing your first, second, and your third choice, it's kind of important to understand that. So generally what I tell people is, what I would do, say if I was really wanting to draw Barbary in this unit here, and this is what I did on this hunt, is I put in for the military unit first, because I'm military. So I put in for this first choice, and then this second choice, and I actually drew that hunt. And then I think third choice I put in this one, which I'm not going to draw it, because it's only 20% odds. And so then if you look over here, it'll tell you how many people put in and drew on their first choice, on their second choice, and on their third choice. So you could see on that 2930, that Barbary 101, only 2 people that made it as a third choice drew that hunt. So that tells you if you put that as your third choice, you're not going to draw it. On the military only one, I don't know why there says there's 15 tags and then only 9 people drew out. I'm guessing it's, oh, this is resident. So there was 9 resident tags, a total of 15 tags, and they don't give us the information about, oh, everybody that drew it, it was their first choice. So you could kind of see how that works out. So if you want to get this hunt, you have to put in, make that your first choice. So I drew this on my second choice. I was one of the 153 people that drew it as a second choice hunt. If you really want to guarantee that you're going to hunt Barbary, that if they kept the odds the same this year, then you'd want to make that your first choice. So you kind of get an idea how that works. So that's generally how I like it. And this really kind of changed. It only applies really as your first choice. You could kind of break this up if you wanted to and do the same thing here. And basically you would just say, okay, equal 675 tags divided by 424 people that made it their first choice. And that looks like, though, I did that wrong. Equal, and it's not even, that's not going to be true because that's not landowners that got those. So there was 567 landowner tags here, which it's kind of, you can't, I don't know if you can see it. So 567 landowner tags, and then I'll divide that by 424, and then format it to a percentage. And maybe I did that wrong. Let me see. Maybe it's, that looks more like it. So of the people that drew that hunt, 74% of them made it their first choice. If you want to draw it, that kind of gives you an idea of how you need to do that. So let me see if I did this right then. Equal this divided by this. No, man. Equal. And my dog's outside barking at something. Divided by that. Gives me that. So I'm not sure. Equal that divided by that. Yeah, that's not doing it right. And then change this to a percentage. Tells me Of the 567 tags that were drawn, 112 people drew them as their second choice. So if you put that as your second choice, you have about a 20% chance that you're going to draw it. Or that's 20% of people did that. You can see 1,656 people put it as their second choice. So that tells you that go format this as a percentage. So that gives you about, the odds are really going to be different there, but when there's, what is that, roughly 2.5 times the number of people put in for their tag, that there are tags. So it kind of gives you an idea just of what your chances are. The percentage here really only works on your first hunt, on the first hunt in my opinion. Once you start getting off down into here, it kind of, the odds get screwed up, just it gets a little too convoluted. So you can see here 75% of people drew it as their first choice, 20% yada yada. So you kind of get how to figure out. So this is your drawing odds, not anything to do with harvest success. So what I'm going to look at here then, I'm like, okay, so this is a hunt I want to put in for. I'm going to make this hunt my first choice because I really want to go Barbary sheep hunting this year, and I want to do it in this area. And so I'm going to go over to the website now, back to the website, and I'm going to go, let's see, hunting, and then you drop down and this is harvest report information. And this is if you do harvest or if you don't, you have to make sure you file your harvest report prior to putting in for the draw. The deadline this year was 15th of February, and you'll get a little $8 fine if you don't do it. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look at the Barbary sheep harvest report, and this is from 2017-18. And so you can kind of see what the harvest success for this given unit was on this spreadsheet here. And download the actual spreadsheet. And the harvest one you can't sort or do anything with, simply because it's it's a PDF, and so it's not really sortable. I mean, you can copy. I've done it before where I copy all this information into a spreadsheet, edit it. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. I'm not going to get into that here. So we'll look at that Barbary 100 hunt. So like I said, February 1st to 28th. This is last year. 676 licenses, 94% reported. Of the people that reported, the success rate was 41%. Average number of days hunted was 4.4 days. Number of males, number of females, and the average how satisfied they were with the hunt is over here on this side. So this kind of gives you an idea. It's a pretty good hunt. I went on it this year. I'd never been in that unit before. I'm guessing that a lot of these people have, and they know where the animals are. They know where the private land is. The 2930 is where the Barbary kind of started off at, so that's a real popular unit to hunt in. And you can see this is a private land. There's a lot of ranches in that area that are high fence, and they basically are just outfitting for these animals. Charge about $3,500 for one of those hunts, and so that's what these are. That's why the success rate's so high on that hunt. The military only one, obviously that's limited to the range, and so there's just not a lot of pressure on the animals, and so that's a good hunt to go on as well. Obviously I'm going to be putting that for my first choice. So anyway, that's kind of how you can compare the draw odds and the success odds. I'm going to go back to this spreadsheet again, and something else that I do, I kind of drop this down all the way, and then I'll sort it by, I mean, it's already kind of sorted by your draw success here, but then you can just go over here and sort it largest to smallest. Oops. And it's crying because I need to delete all this. So let's go ahead and sort. So I'm going to have to delete this top row. Let me see. Because I didn't put that it had the header row. But anyway, you can see I sorted it. No, I didn't. Whatever. So you can see now it's sorted by, this is the highest percentage to draw hunt. So if I'm just looking to draw, I know that my odds of drawing this hunt, if I put in this as my first choice, are a lot higher, as there's 32%. So there's 675 tags with 2,000 people putting in, versus this hunt down here, which is 600 tags with almost 3,000 people putting in. So my odds of drawing this hunt are 12% better. So I have a almost 33% chance that I'll draw that hunt. So that's, 1/3 chance. That's not too bad. And so that's a popular hunt. I went on and drove 700 miles, didn't even see a sheep, but I was in the wrong area. So, and you can do that, once you get into the bigger areas. Something I wanted to show you, let me go back and I'll download this spreadsheet again. Or if I wish I could remember where I saved it. So something that I like to do when I'm looking at some of these hunts is I automatically go through. So let's just go down to deer or elk, either way. Deer is a little easier to do. So let's look at, say, deer rifle hunts. So I'm going to open this up, and you can see in these descriptions right away, if I'm sorting these, I'm not a youth, I'm not going to go in there, I'm not mobility impaired. So I just delete some of these right away so that I'm not even sorting them. And then like I know what units I like to go to and which ones I'm definitely not going to. I'm not going to be going down to any of the 20s. I've hunted some of those units and I didn't like them. And they're just too far away from me. I just, I have to kind of within reason. And so I just go through, and what I'll do is I'll clean this spreadsheet up prior to ever sorting it. And this is why I generally start doing this as soon as it opens up, because I generally I do one species a paycheck. And so that gives me the time to put in for, to do all this work, sorting it out, figuring it out, which ones I want to go to, all this kind of stuff. And so now I've kind of got it, I got some 2As up here. I'm not going to go to the 2s. I didn't enjoy that hunt, and some of those hunts are really hard to draw. I'm not I don't want to go to a wildlife management area. These are private only, 5A public only. There's like hardly any public land in that unit. So now I've kind of broken it down. I'm going to put a divider in here in between the rifle and the bow. And so then, you kind of want to have like the game unit map accessible, so you could look and see, okay, where am I looking at? And when we're looking at the units for this state, this is kind of what they look like. So when you're looking at this map, this is all reservation. All the orange is reservation. This is all BLM. Any of the yellowish looking stuff, that's BLM. Purple is monument. Green is national forest. This is all state land. This is military reservation right here. This is the White Sands National Park right here, or the White Sands. All the white is private land. So when you're looking at your hunts and you're trying to figure out where do I want to go, it's a good idea before you do your breakdown on your success, your odds to draw, then your harvest, and you kind of compare the two and figure out, okay, so this is a good chance of drawing in this unit. I have a good chance of harvesting something in this unit. Where am I going to hunt? And so you look at some of these units, 45 right here, that's up at north of Santa Fe. Santa Fe's right here. And that's all mountains. That's the Pecos Wilderness, I believe. Right here, 6B, that's the Valles Caldera. And so you got to kind of look at the unit. How much area am I actually going to be able to hunt? 35, that whole unit's reservation, you can't even put in for it. Unit 1, same thing. This is all Navajo. This is all Mescalero. 28, look at this unit. Read the descriptions that they have on the website. and they do have it'll actually break it down for you. Let me see where the map is at. So they have some stuff on here, apps that'll tell you where the gates are to get access to some of the stuff. This will give you tell you kind of where the turkeys are at, where the sheep are at. You know, this tells you where you have to have a habitat stamp. So this is the map here. All right, now if you go to this link on the website, then it'll open up, let's say we want to look at 28. I know this is Fort Bliss. So you look at this and you can see this is a Fort Bliss military reservation. So if you want to try and hunt this area, then you need to have special permission, and which means going all the way down to El Paso, to Fort Bliss, to the gate, registering your weapons, and then you have check stations and all that. I don't like this hunt all because of that reason. It's kind of a pain in the ass. And honestly, there's not a lot of deer there. So that kind of gives you an idea. Say you want to hunt this area here. This is the Manzanos. It's right by Albuquerque. Tells you, okay, this is all Isleta. This is Kirtland Air Force Base. This is the Manzano National Forest. A lot of private land over here. A lot of private land over here. Little tiny chunks of state land, which you may be able to get to this little piece right here, but maybe this one is surrounded by private. Probably not going to be able to get to it. So some state game and fish, which is this land right here, is the Bernardo Wildlife Management Area, and this is mostly for migratory game fowl. So you can kind of see what the unit looks like. It'll give you a description right here of what the unit looks like. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is the this one right here. Not this article in particular, but this website. This is called GoHunt, and this will let you, if you want to use the insider, will let you sort, because this is a subscription site, and it'll give you odds and do all kinds of stuff where you pick on a unit and say, if I was wanting to hunt unit 9, it'll tell you, it's 75% tribal and private land. Public land is found by Mount Taylor. It kind of tells you a little bit what the trophy expectations are going to be for that unit. It's not 100% accurate, I'm going to tell you that now. It tells you the terrain, gives you some pictures of the unit. This is very useful for people that are not from this state. Gives you the moon phases for certain units, certain times. So let's say we're going to hunt deer. We want to hunt them when they're in velvet. We can see, okay, illumination 97%. It's going to be a full moon right in here. So we don't want to hunt that time frame because they're all up at night. Gives you an idea about how easy it is to get into this unit. It's a good site, and it goes all over the country. So if you're looking at hunting in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, any of these western states, it definitely helps. It's got a ton of useful information for you. It's about $200 a year. The other website I want to show you that is useful in looking at public land is Onix Maps. So this one kind of gives you an idea of, see all my hunting spots on here. So let's say if I was going to hunt in the Manzanos, this one will tell you exactly who owns the land. It gives you the contour lines to all this stuff. And this cool thing about this app is, say that it downloads to your phone. So right now I got it highlighted for Colorado. You could turn that public land on and off. You could turn private land on and off. It has the game units on it, open gates. It'll go as far as showing you forest fires, where there's been forest fires recently. There's a lot of really super useful information on this. Once you really start getting into it, you can start doing it where it'll show you where all the trails are and what the trail mileages are. So you can get an idea, okay, I'm trying to go on this trail, so it tells you it's 3.2 miles on this trail from here to here. Very useful information. It also gives you trail slope. So you could tell on this trail it's really hard right here. So if you're planning on doing a little bit of backcountry hunting, if you're trying to do backpack hunting, then this app is, I mean, you have to have it. And honestly, if you're going to be hunting anywhere around private land, Game and Fish pretty much says if you don't have this and you're on private land, you're wrong. Because what it'll happen is you have it on your phone and it'll use the GPS from your phone. And let's say you're hunting this little spring right here, which looks pretty dry to me, then it'll show you right where you're at, and if you get into a conflict with this Marco Melinda over here, you can say I'm on public land right now, and it settles a lot of those disputes immediately. And a lot of the landowners have the app now, and it's so prolific that everybody is just tracking on it. It's $30 a year. It's a ton of useful information. You can mark your waypoints on the computer here, and it transfers over to your phone. You can download the maps to your phone and have them when you're out of range. If you're hunting, you should have Onix Maps. That's all I got to say about that. So that kind of covered a lot of the stuff as far as the draw goes. Trophy quality, the best way to do that is if you look at the Game and Fish website. You can see it's my favorite website over here. You could just search it and search records. They have it on here somewhere. Most people know where the big deer and the big elk come from. So here's the Boone and Crockett records, SCI records, and then if you want to know how do you score your animal, these are people that'll do it for you if you think you got a huge animal. The Boone and Crockett website has a little app that you can use. So this guy got the world record pronghorn. This was taken down by the Gila, I think 16E. I'm not 100% sure. So it'll tell you where it was. Do a little bit of research and it'll tell you the game unit most of the time. But Socorro County, Catron, or Catrone, whatever, I don't know what they call it. Harding, Lincoln, kind of give you an idea of where the big pronghorn. That's a big pronghorn. That's really a big. 70 is the trophy. So it'll give you the desert bighorn sheep, kind of tell you what the records are, where they're at, so that if trophy hunting is important to you, then you can look at this part of the website and it'll give you all that information. Biggest elk, this is looks like it's probably going to be typical, a 402-inch typical elk. Looks like that probably came out of the north part of the Gila. This one came out of the fives, probably off the Jicarilla. Jicarilla has a lot of big animals on it. Non-typical, it's a beautiful animal, 434 inches. Colfax County, Catron County, Cibola, Taos. Give you an idea where some of the non-typicals, the year, look how long ago that was. That's a big one right there. It's relatively recent. So it gives you an idea, kind of, if trophy hunting is your thing, those are the units you're going to want to put in for. Big deer are always coming out of Rio Arriba County. That's just the fives, and the Jicarilla has all the big mule deer on it. So kind of give you an idea of all the different trophy stuff there. Public land, I already kind of went over that. That's what Onix Maps is really good for. If you're wanting to figure out a unit and figure out if you want to put in for that unit, then having Onix Maps is just going to be so helpful. So let's say you want to hunt up in the twos, because I know a lot of people like to go up here. Takes a minute for it to load sometimes. So Dulce, I know that's right up there. Kind of give it's. Let me see if I got New Mexico turned on. I do. Sometimes you gotta fiddle with it. So you kind of got an idea if you happen to know where the twos are at. It'll load here in a minute. It just takes time. With my awesome high-speed internet over here. So you can see the Jicarilla is right here. This is all Rio Arriba County. This is 5A right in here. Little chunk. You can see this is all private. Little tiny pieces of BLM land. Some BLM land over here, which is difficult to get to because of the reservation. And so those are things that you want to take into consideration whenever you're looking at, where do I want to hunt at? Let's go here to the eastern part of the state, up by Clayton. I've hunted up here before. And you can see this is what's called checkerboarding. And so you can kind of look and see, like if I wanted to hunt this area, which they just now, I haven't been there, but there's I forget the name of the wilderness that they just opened up, a big canyon over here. But you can see some of this area, if you wanted to get to it, you're going to have to, like this one, you could get in right from this road right here. But if you want to get to this part back here, you're going to have to walk in from all the way around over here. This is more than likely, this private road right here is going to go through this dairy land. They probably have a gate over here somewhere because they don't want people back in here. And state land especially, you're only allowed to scout it 3 days prior to the hunt. So that kind of tells me, okay, so where am I going to hunt at? If I want to get to this land, I'm going to have to use a helicopter because they more than likely have a gate somewhere in here stopping people from getting into this public land right here. It's called landlocked, and there's a ton of it, especially on the eastern part of the state. The ranchers really don't. Used to be a little bit better with hunters, but then people stop knowing everybody. And if you know some of these ranchers, I mean, if you go talk to them, a lot of times they will let you hunt. I ended up in a rancher's backyard on my last hunt, and I just got out of my car, went and knocked on the front door and said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I made a wrong turn and ended up on your property. I apologize. Do you mind if I drive through?" And he's like, "You're the first person that's ever come and talked to me. Most hunters just open my gate and act like they own a place." And it's just disrespectful. I mean, do I agree with how they necessarily handle the land? No. But it's their land. If it's on my private property, it's private property. And so you can kind of see there's little chunks like this. So what does that tell me? I'm probably not going to want to hunt this area because I'm going to have a really hard time getting access to any huntable land. And it's just going to frustrate me and make for a miserable experience. So I generally try and hunt areas with public land. And that's another reason I encourage you to be a member of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, trying to protect the public land and make sure that we have land that we could hunt on, because a lot of these ranchers are trying to get the public land from the people and use it for their private interests, which means closing it off to us. So anyway, you can kind of see there's some areas here. This is what is it? Is game units on? Here we go. Let me turn game units on. So you can see this will tell me this is 2A, 2B, 2C, and it kind of gives you an idea. You can see 2C has a ton of public land, right? Goes all the way over here to the Hickoria. I can tell you right now, getting back into here is hard. These are all going to be 4x4 roads and challenging roads to get onto. So that's something you want to take into consideration when you're putting in for your hunt. And then the species, where are they going to live at, that kind of thing. And the terrain that you're going to be looking at. You can use Google Earth a lot to, I don't have it on this computer because I just got this computer. You can just go to Google, use Google Maps. And let's say I want to go look at that area right there by that reservation, by the Hickoria. So I kind of just have a ballpark. I know where it's at. Up here past Cuba, there's Lindrith. So there's the Hickoria. There's the Carson. And so I just want to look at the satellite imagery a little bit and look at the terrain. So you can see, like this stuff here, that's pretty, there's some oil wells out here, it looks like. A lot of oil wells, so there's going to be roads out here. So that means there's going to be a lot of road hunters. Now you can see there's a pipeline road right here. This looks like it's all desert and probably pinyon juniper. You've got some hills here with some vegetation here. So you got a little transition area. But there's going to be a lot of road hunting going on in this unit. I can tell you that right now. You could pretty much get to the entire unit with a truck. So that's the kind of hunting that a lot of people are going to be doing in this unit. They're not going to be out walking around. You can see the number of oil wells and gas wells. And so there's just going to be a lot of people just cruising around these roads. As soon as the sun comes up, there's going to be cruising here, and then usually about 3:30 in the afternoon it starts. So sometimes if you get out and you walk, you might bump an animal, but that's really how you're going to get an animal in that unit. It's just almost luck. There's not a whole lot of skill to truck hunting, in my opinion. You can see these are all little mountains and valleys, and there's just, this is good for beginning hunters, from young kids, just getting out with you, drive around in the truck, having a front seat, you'll see animals. There's going to be lots of does. You'll probably see a lot of does out there. You might see a couple spikes and forks. And who knows, maybe you bump into a nice deer. But you could kind of use Google Maps to kind of help you, get an idea exactly what kind of area is this going to be, and how hard is it going to get to. There's going to be some deer hiding in areas back in here, but they're going to come out to eat and stuff like that. So that's when people are going to be looking for them. All right. You can also look here, like I showed you on the website. It's important to understand, where the draw is and that kind of thing. All right, so I'm at about 40 minutes now. If you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, and have a great day.